Trump celebrates harsh conditions for detainees on visit to Alligator Alcatraz. They're really playing this one up. I think that, like, for the most part, the Nazis had the good sense to not, like, be too loud about the whole Auschwitz thing. I think that for the most part, the Nazis were like, we should keep this one in the DL. When Red Cross comes by, we'll pretend that, like, we run water through the pipes in these shower rooms, you know? It's a little odd to me how upfront we're being, I guess. Yeah, they probably didn't give media tours to Auschwitz is what I'm saying. Well, they do now, but, like, not back then. We looked at this. They're building a concentration camp in the middle of the Everglades, surrounded by alligators, hence Alligator Alcatraz. There's not really, like, a point to it. Like, the point is to give money to Florida, right? Like, the point is for the federal government to invest money in a project in Florida that costs a ton because you have to fly it in. You can't drive it in because it's in the middle of the Everglades. There's, like, an airstrip. So, like, you're transferring, I don't know what, how many hundreds of millions over to the companies that are going to construct it. It's all a big grift. That's all it's ever been. That's the whole point. But yeah, no, they're building it. They're bragging about how, like, how evil it's going to be. Cameras capture the inside of Florida's Alligator Alcatraz during President Trump's visit. That's a picture, not a video. You need, the video has to move.
Got the bag.
I'm moving.
TV. Let's keep moving. Guys, come on.
The only point of putting it here is that they want to showboat over it. They want to, you know, like, be performatively cruel. They want mosquitoes to bite you because it's the Everglades, right? It's all mosquitoes. Like, it doesn't actually matter that there's alligators, right? The alligator thing doesn't actually matter. Oh, they also want to build it in a place where reporters can't get to it. See, that's the reason why they were doing the Bukele CSOT thing. They want to build on places where the media can't get to you, so they can't see all the torture and rape and so on, right? So that's why they're expanding Gitmo. Can a journalist go into Gitmo? No. It's a military site. You can't get in there. Can they go to CSOT? Not unless Bukele wants them to. Can they get here? No. The only way to access this is to fly a plane. Planes have to be cleared for landing. There's also no AC. Also, I mean, probably not. Be expensive to AC these big tents. Why doesn't Cuba do anything about Guantanamo Bay? What are they going to do? Fight the U.S. military? I can't see this standing up to a direct hurricane hit. Well, that's part of the bonus. Every time hurricane season comes around, for free, you clear out the entire population of Alligator Alcatraz. Then you've got 5,000 free beds. You can fill them back up. Like, again, you could build this anywhere. The point, it's the cruelty. You want to keep it away from journalists. It's not actually about security. It's a federal detention facility. No one's getting out anyway. I mean, what happens if you escape a federal detention facility? You escape. It's like escaping a prison. Do you know how infrequently people escape prisons? Especially a federal prison? No. It's all LARP.
Beautiful Alcatraz. He ought to come here and study this because he could learn a lot. When's the first person checking into the room, sir?
Tomorrow. Hopefully tomorrow, within the next 24 hours.
They have the doctors, they have all the professionals.
There's going to be a security sweep because there have been civilians here, so they will sweep this multiple times to make sure there's nothing can be used as weapons or any contraband. And then once that's clear...
Forgot how fruity DeSantis sounds. Anyone else forget that? I totally forgot that because I haven't heard his voice in so long.
Then they'll do, so it's really up to Secretary. I know has got people in the queue, and so they'll be ready to receive.
I think our viewers at home should note that this is air-conditioned facility, yes, so if any of the news claims are keeping them out in the hot, humid South...
Dude! They've got f***ing merch! I love my grift.
I just want everyone to know that there's official Alligator Alcatraz merch. There it is.
Yeah!
Provided to us
merch
by the state of Florida. Incredible. And yeah, would you rock this drip? Look at that.
Dude, that sounded so authentic. when he said that? That sounded so good. You don't like the Auschwitz march?
Florida, that is wrong. It's probably 62 degrees in here. Or 72.
Hey,
Yep.
Biden wanted me in here. Okay, he wanted me. It didn't work out that way, but he wanted me in here.
Mr. President, what's your expectation what this will do for the speed and force of deportations?
A lot of things, and they're both telling me that these people come in here, they want to go home, and they want to go home, so we immediately send them home. You know, where it's appropriate. Now, if somebody's a real killer, we maximum security. Look, what we inherited from this guy, this incompetent man, and his administration, which wasn't incompetent, it was radical left, lunatic, communist, whatever you want to say. I know most of them. What we inherited should never, ever be forgotten. They made us.
Oh yeah, when the woke whiplash like comes back around, people are going to get beaten in the street for wearing MAGA merch. That is true. We are like the first Trump term, let's be real, the first Trump term was like transphobia, Islamophobia, Mexicophobia, mostly funny. Like, let's be real, okay? And then there was, you know, Jan 6, and that was also kind of funny. Then you've got Biden, and that was kind of funny. This is all just Adolf Hitler. Like, this is literally just Auschwitz merch. Yeah, no, the woke whiplash back around is going to be wild. The woke whiplash is going to hit all of us too. They're going to be like, they're going to be treating us the way like the Maoists in the 60s or like the Khmer Rouge were treating people. Like, well, no, your minds have been tainted by the Trump era. So even if you were against it then, you're still influenced by it, so you're gonna have to face the wall, please. Like, it's going to be rough for everyone, but will we deserve it? I can't say no.
This is all because of an open border policy where 25 million people flowed in. From all over the world, from prisons, from all over the world they flowed in. For no reason whatsoever. We had, you know, when I left, we had a very powerful border. We had no problem. He opened it up, day one. He just opened the border. People couldn't believe it. They were standing there. What are they doing? They said, go in. That's it. You look at the first day tapes. They opened it up and they said, go in. And that's where all of this began. But this is an amazing thing that they've done here.
But listen, people don't have to come here. If they
This is not a death camp? No, it's not. This is a concentration camp. I know those terms often get used interchangeably. Auschwitz-Birkenau was, of course, a death camp. But there's a meaningful difference between a death camp, a concentration camp, and, say, a POW camp. Though, obviously, for the Nazis, the roles overlapped quite a bit.
self-deport and go home, they can come back legally. We will let them come back legally.
And there is a lot of self-deportation.
Yes. But if you wait and we bring you to this facility, you don't ever get to come back to America. You don't get the chance to come back and be an American again and work here. So.
They weren't with us when the President and Secretary Kevin and I, we went through the intake. So right when you do the intake, they have the information about voluntary departure. They have the ability. Obviously, you guys are funding that because it's a lot cheaper to do it that way. So even if they get brought to the front doorstep here, they still have an opportunity to just go back voluntarily, and then this way they're
How fast does that take from the minute that, let's say they get in here, they're like, hey, I want to stay here, I want to go back to...
We can put them on a plane that day and take them home. We'll buy their plane ticket, go home, and then they get the chance to come back legally. If they wait and say
They
we're not
do
going to do
that, they
that,
can come back legally after a period.
Mr. President, you've talked recently about the idea of finding some way to get farm workforce and service sector workforce, and I think you've discussed somehow a program of people leaving on a sponsorship and coming right back. Can you give us a little more detail about that and why, in the view of some hardliners, it's not
I take
amnesty?
care of our farmers and hotel workers and various other people that we're working on it right now.
Looks like they're touching on a wide variety of topics here, but there's a lot of stuff here. You know, it's not just this. I know, for example, that Trump was interviewed before going down to Florida, where you have this wonderful chyron, Trump on if migrant escapes, they'll just get eaten by wildlife. Yeah, I guess that's the concept, which is fantastic, obviously. Like, yeah, that's the point. Ooh. Yeah, you stand a little close there. They're touching tips. They're going gut to gut. Trump wins in the gut off.
Hello, everybody. The trip was nice. And the
More
job
great audio.
Santa doing a it big. Alabama's doing it. We have a lot of.
I don't want to hear this audio. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear this audio. I want to hear good audio, not bad audio.
This morning, the center dubbed Alligator Alcatraz opens to detainees today, despite protests and a federal lawsuit.
That's right. The ICE facility is on the side of a remote airfield in the heart of
speaking of like really, really ineffective lines to take, this is why like I roll my eyes. There's graffiti downtown in Seattle on some of the federal buildings. No justice on stolen land. Like, it's the most LARPy internet shit in the world. Like, no one cares. Like, you're protesting fascism. It's like, here's a land acknowledgement. Nobody cares. You're just like repeating the shit you see online. But there were protesters for Alligator Alcatraz, get this, for environmental reasons. Look, I'm not saying the environment, the Everglades are beautiful in their own way. I don't like being in Florida, but like, you know, okay, I get it. But like, that's really the line you're going to take? You really think that's going to do shit?
the Everglades. 10 Tampa Bay's Christina Mendez is live for us this morning. And Christina, this site is going to expand operations by holding up to 5,000 people that are waiting for deportation.
Yeah, the compound is made up of heavy-duty tents, trailers, and temporary buildings, much like what you'd see set up after a natural disaster. It's
using FEMA funds, right? 2/3 of the critics section for an NPR article on this was devoted to environmentalists and Native Americans, with one paragraph to immigration concerns about being in the Everglades. Jesus Christ. Dude, who the cares about the Listen, the environment's anyway, because of climate change, okay? Is that really like the line you're going with on this one? Like the problem with Auschwitz-Birkenau was that they didn't do a land acknowledgement for the like ancient proto-Serbian people who lived there 4,500 years ago, and also there was like a species of squirrel that really relied on the trees, and that it like come on. She's like, priorities here, priorities.
Now to an aerial view of what's dubbed Alligator Alcatraz. This is it here. It's an isolated airfield in the Everglades surrounded by swamplands filled with alligators and pythons. The facility is designed to detain and deport undocumented immigrants, but comes with some controversy. Environmental groups filed a lawsuit Friday demanding a federal review. The next day, people protested outside the airstrip, calling this an inhumane way to house immigrants. Governor DeSantis defended the plan.
You'll be able to bring people in, they'll get processed, they have an order of removal, then they can be queued, and you can, the federal government can fly right on the runway, right there. You literally drive them 2,000 feet, put them on a plane, and then they're gone. It's very logistically simple.
Now, the state does say that this facility can house up to 5,000 detainees, is key to supporting Trump's mass deportation plan, which, by the way, detention's hitting a record high in June at 56,000.
Yeah, and Christina, you were talking
every federal housing facility is like massively overfilled because it turns out it's much faster to arrest people than it is to deport them.
Earlier this morning about who is actually footing the bill to keep the operations up and running there, and how somehow FEMA is involved in this.
Yeah, they're draining FEMA funding before hurricane season in Florida. Hundreds of millions of dollars. No, that's not a joke. They're like, there's no way we're going to need this money for anything else anytime soon.
Yeah, that's what Governor Ron DeSantis is saying. Rather, he says that this is going to cost about year-round $450 million to operate. FEMA plans to reimburse the state, though. Live this morning, Christina Mendez, 10 Tampa Bay.
All right, Christina, thank you so much. And here on 10 Tampa Bay, we're keeping the conversation going with this top story in just about 5 hours at noon.
That's crazy, man. You know, the NOAA has said, like, hey, we might not be able to monitor hurricanes that good this time because of all the defunding. You've gotten rid of the money, the facilities, the people. We might be a little bit more in the dark. So FEMA is going to be reacting to blind hurricanes. It's so crazy when you remember, because we're so used to how this works now. It used to be, how did you know a hurricane was coming? You had a guy in a raincoat standing on the beach, and he would go, "Yep, storms are brewing," and then he would like send a telegraph wire. He would send a wire to like a local news org or something like that. That was the best system we had for all of human history, sans telegraph, until recently. And we're going to be going back to that soon. NOAA is going to be like, yeah, we don't know. Sans telegraph, sans Undertale. You guys like that one?
I'm in the Everglades National Park in South Florida, where on Tuesday, President Donald Trump will travel to and visit the newest ICE detention facility in the country. Behind me is the entrance to the Dade Collier Airport, where the state has allowed the federal government to build tent-like structures that will house illegal immigrants as they go through deportation proceedings. While we went in earlier, we saw Secret Service on guard, securing the facility ahead of tomorrow's visit. We also saw Florida National Guard that have been called in.
We'll know about hurricanes because of other countries, probably. Good luck with that, buddy. They use our infrastructure. We're America. We have the satellite network. You think all those other countries all have their own independent, like, extremely advanced weather monitoring services? Absolutely not. That's we did that for the world. The whole planet is going to have, China does? Yeah, well, that's China. There are European models for hurricane tracking. Yeah, but they're not as tuned to our location. And also, in many cases, they're not as good. It's a very expensive, usually like those weather tracking models are kind of keyed in on what your society needs, right? Like the Netherlands is probably really, really good at tracking like flooding and sea level rises because half of the Netherlands is 1 centimeter above sea level, you know? But the United States has, or at least had, a really well-developed, sophisticated, yeah, like Atlantic tracking system that we led the world on, and now it sucks. It's actually below sea level. Yep.
To secure the premises. We've seen dozens of dump trucks coming into the facility and coming out.
Your mom works there. That's,
As the state makes the final preparations before the facility opens, not only to immigrants tomorrow, but welcomes President Trump.
President Trump will travel to the great state of Florida to attend the opening of a new illegal alien detention center alongside Secretary Kristi Noem, Governor Ron DeSantis, Congressman Byron Donalds, and other state and local leaders. The facility is in the heart of the Everglades and will be informally known as Alligator Alcatraz.
Governor Ron DeSantis has warned what will happen if immigrants try to escape.
Bring people in there. They ain't going anywhere once they're there unless you want them to go somewhere, because good luck getting to civilization. So the security is amazing. But what... natural and otherwise.
They love it because they're demons who get off on the joy of imagining a person like terrified and surrounded. No one escapes from these federal facilities anyway. How many escapes have you heard of? I'm sure there are a few. Like, how often does this happen? Oh, we need to crack up security on our federal detainment. No, you don't. You're just rounding up immigrants. You're not. It's a federal facility. It's not a county jail made of balsa wood and glue.
What are you going to do? Trudge through the swamp and dodge alligators on the way back to 50, 60 miles just to get to civilization? Not going to happen.
We saw alligators.
Navos, you're wrong. They won't code weather modeling supercomputers. Dog, NOAA has said themselves they will not be able to model hurricanes as well this year. They said that. I'm not a weather genius. They're weather geniuses, okay? Even the satellites we do have for military purposes won't be sharing with the NOAA/NASA anymore. What the I mean, Godspeed. Look, this mostly punishes Florida, and I hate Florida, so. The Defense Department will still maintain the Defense Meteorological Satellite Program, but would cease sharing its imagery with NOAA and NASA? Sure. Yeah, why not? I mean, it's just like DoD satellites. I can't, like, how helpful could they have been? The decision, which was initiated by the DoD, caused an uproar among meteorologists, public officials, and the media in the midst of hurricane season. The fear is the missing information could degrade the accuracy of hurricane forecasts. The move comes in the wake of steep personnel cuts at the National Weather Service and other parts of NOAA. What do we gain from this? They just like death, okay? According to media reports last week, the DoD's rationale for cutting off this data has to do with cybersecurity concerns stemming from the way the data is transmitted between agencies. What? Hegseth Signal Party? Being like, no, actually, we can't give you weather data because of, like, China or something. Yeah, all right. I think it's because they don't think climate change is real. You're not wrong, actually. One of the goals of Project 2025 was to make it impossible for the federal government to collect data that prove climate change is real. They know climate change is real, but they don't want you to know that. So by making it more difficult to track the weather, it kind of like blurs the data field. Death cult, more death cult-y than any other institution ever. Worse than the Nazis. If you think about what climate change could do to the world, is doing to the world, we're talking like actual like you know those alt history books and games where the Nazis were doing all the evil stuff they were already doing, but then they like summon demons, or they commune with ancient powers and summon an elder god and like it's going to destroy the world, like that kind of old history shit. That's the territory we're in. We're dealing with like comical levels of evil, like Wolfenstein. I actually haven't played the new Wolfenstein games. I haven't played any Wolfenstein games. I've only played the original Wolfenstein game. I haven't played the new ones. By new, I mean anything in the past 20 years. Very good. No, I've heard they're very good. I've heard they're very good. It's something I wanna play them.
Gators on our way in on the Tamiami Trail from Miami earlier today. From the Everglades, I'm Anna Giratelli.
That's great.
Now let's roll back the clock even more. This is the president arriving there in South Florida on his way to that so-called Alligator Alcatraz. You see Florida Governor Ron DeSantis. Also looks like Rick Scott, also of the state of Florida, there next to Kristi Noem. Chanel Call is joining us right now.
Men. These are Republicans who, until last week, have used the Everglades for things like hunting and fishing. Many of them voted for President Trump, and many of them support his stance on immigration. Just the thing here is, Reed, that they don't think this is the right place for a detention center. So here's part of my conversation with a man named Mike Effenbein, a Gladesman and conservationist who says he's concerned this land just is not equipped to handle what the Trump administration is proposing.
I think the concerns include increased vehicular traffic, increased aircraft traffic.
Incredible, man. Yeah, I'm an American. My problem with the Auschwitz they're building next door, it will increase traffic on the daily 25-minute commute that I have to work, and then possibly the 26-minute commute to like groceries that I do once every 2 weeks. Fantastic.
The noise that's included with that, the fuel that's included with that. There's sewage concerns, and I know that there's management plans, waste management plans for this location, but this is a remote location. They have a lot of horrible weather there this time of year. This is our rainy season, so you're looking at lightning, torrential downpours, and the potential for tropical storms and hurricanes. And this location is not well suited to add those kind of stressors to that area. You know, some are environmentalists and some are preservationists and some are conservationists, and you have tribal interests. And despite all of our differences in life, the one thing that we can agree on is protecting this place and ensuring that we continue to maintain its ecological integrity and ensure that the water resources that this place lends itself to. This
is like, I'm not joking when I say like, hello, I'm an American, this is my environmental protest or whatever. I think this is one of the reasons why this country is so uniquely. I don't think this could happen in Europe. This very specific kind of complaint, I think, is a uniquely American thing. You understand what I mean? I'm not to say that a country in Europe might on average have a given, like a better on average position on a given issue. You know, I'm not really talking about like the average level of progressivism. I'm saying like this attitude, there's something about this that is like, it's representative of an underlying rot.
That provides drinking water for 9 million people, remains safe from any harm, intentional or unintentional. And I'm sure that both Governor DeSantis and President Trump have all the best intentions in mind in moving this plan forward.
And Reed, so what Mike was talking about in that second half of that piece of sound there was about just how politically and racially diverse this particular group of protesters really is.
Well, you chose like a fat white guy, so I don't really know why that was the way you decided to make that point. I don't know, dude.
I'd like to say, you know, a little controversial, but I couldn't care less. We have a lot of bad criminals that came into this country, and they came in stupidly. It was an unforced error. It was an incompetent president that allowed it to happen. It was an auto pen maybe that allowed it to happen, and it did happen. But we also have a lot of bad people that have been here for a long time. People that whack people over the head with a baseball bat from behind when they're not looking and kill them.
He keeps doing that. It's so obvious, like the videos that he's being shown by Elon or Miller or whatever. When he talks about the worst criminals in America, he's talking about what are they called? A white bashing? What's the term for that? That thing where black teenagers would like run up behind white people and a knockout gang shit. Yeah, he's talking about knockout game shit. That's what he's talking about. He's specifically referring to, like, he's not talking broadly about really bad criminals. He's talking about a very specific, highly racialized, highly over covered little trend. You know? Yeah, Miller's out there showing him like videos of black crime or whatever.
People that knife you when you're walking down the street, they're not new to our country. They're old to our country. Many of them were born in our country.
Yeah, I guarantee you that's what. And in fact, I can almost guarantee you the video he's referring to right here is that one where the was it in New York? The black man pulled out a knife and stabbed that like socialist rep or that like lefty rep who was with his girlfriend. And it was a very clear video of it. It was like a big hubbub a year ago because all the racists on Twitter were like, see, that's what happens when you like blacks. They stab you. I'm telling you, he's been shown like 3 videos and now in his head, that's what he's thinking of when he says like the worst criminals.
I think we ought to get them the hell out of here too. You want to know the truth. So maybe that'll be the next job that we'll work on together. But I think getting them out, we forget about them. We had some bad accidents in New York, and they're not accidents. I like to say it, a little controversy.
Yeah. Look at the hat. Oh, I'm looking. He sounds less mentally capable than usual. Oh, he always sounds like that. So what happened to the Greenland, Canada, and Panama thing? Don't remind him. Don't do that. What are you doing, idiot? I stand a decade of presidents with dementia. You never know. Biden could win in 2028 as well. The way the Democrats are, you never know.